What's up guys, Travis here from Outdoors with Travis. I'm here at Magnum Archery today and I want to run you guys through how I decide and how I set up my stabilizers to maximize my chances of being successful in any hunting situation. Let's hit it. So before I get into how I set up my stabilizers and why I set them up the way I do for hunting in the African bush, let's obviously go through what I'm running and the adjustments I've made to make it work for me and my style of hunting. So I'm currently running the CBE Torx micro hunting stabs. They generally come with two weights out front and a vibration dampening or dampening device. It's just a large piece of rubber that takes a lot of the vibration out of the shot. Although when I get into the modifications I've made on the stabilizers I'm running at the moment, I've taken that off because modern day bows don't need to be quietened. They're quite quiet out the box. And there's almost no vibration in a modern day bow, so there's nothing to dampen. So let's go through what I've done on my stabs. Got a 10-inch sidebar, 15-inch front bar, but you'll notice something a little different from what you guys would get out the box. So let's go over those modifications that I've made, and you're probably wondering, how do you modify something that comes out the box as is? Well, have a look. But your standard CBE Torx micro hunting stabilizers will look something like this. Obviously this is very short, it's an 8-inch. But you'll have a rubber dampener and some weights out front. And obviously the whole point of a rubber dampener is all the movement is absorbed into those rubber dampeners when a shot's fired from a bow. But my theory and my working theory, and it's not really a theory, it's just facts, is vibration is happening after the shot has gone off. It's actually the hyperextension of the string launching that arrow and now coming back to its straightness position. And depending on how good your bow is or how modern it is, the modern day bows can absorb that quite well that you don't even feel it. So if there's no vibration in a bow already that's a 2023 to 2025 flagship bow, there's no real need for that dampener. Now, if you don't use your stabilizers as walking sticks, keep it on. But when I hunt in the bush, I'm leopard crawling, I'm crawling on all fours, and I don't want to put the bow physically in the ground unless I'm leopard crawling and I have to, but when I'm on all fours, and I'll show you guys some footage of my latest hunt, I tend to drive the stabilizer into the ground as a walking stick, and I go like this the whole way through. And what I found on one of my last hunts with that RX9 Ultra is that rubber dampener with my body weight. I'm a big guy, unfortunately even a little bit overweight, but that rubber dampener just wants to bend all the way, and it's very eerie feeling your stabilizer bending in the ground as you put your body weight into it, versus just making it one solid piece of rod and metal. And so what I did is I've modified mine. So you'll notice the difference right away. I've taken that rubber dampener out, and I'd also find that the CBE stab weights are a little bit light because they're relying on that dampener to add the rest of the weight. Taking that away, these plates were just too light for me. So I took some of my old weights from my old stabilizers and I've placed them on. I've got two on the front, one on the back, and I really feel like this just gives me a much more sturdy setup. And I haven't felt almost any difference in dampening or sound performance or anything like that, because again, I think the latest bows for the last 3-4 years, they're fantastic out the box. So let's just get that sidebar back on, and let's go over how I set up my stabilizers and why I set up my stabilizers like that. Actually, let me grab 3 arrows, and you're going to ask yourself, you've got 5 arrows in the quiver, why are you grabbing some off the table? And that's my first lesson for the day. When setting up your stabilization to be optimal for float and balance, you don't want to be taking arrows at your quiver, because that's going to manipulate your left and right, the way your bubble moves within the sight. And that's where the sidebar is going to come in. So what I like to do is I like to mimic the arrows that I'd have in my quiver when I hunt. So essentially this is a 6-arrow quiver, and perfect world scenario, I'd be taking 1 arrow out, knocking it, and obviously getting a shot on animal, which means I'd have 5 arrows left in my quiver. And you'd think it's not a big deal, but my arrows are 550 grains each. Times by 5, you're looking at over 2,750 grains on the right-hand side of your bow, over and above your mounting pieces for your sight and your quiver and your rest. So all that adds up very quickly when it comes to your left and right and the way the bubble stabilizes and how quickly it stabilizes when at full draw. Let me grab an Allen key here, because this bow is almost perfectly set up for the weight. So I'm going to quickly, purposely throw it out of weight for you guys and show you from beginning what I'm trying to accomplish. Let's do something crazy like that. So you'll see, obviously, I put that bar way out to throw that balance out, and I'm going to show you how I work it backwards. Your front bar is really up to you. I prefer to have a bias, and I prefer the bias of weight to be out front. So I always make my front bar heavier than my side bar. You can throw a 5, 8, or 10 degree QD mount on it so you can get the weight even lower down and further away from your hand. What I'm going to do is, obviously this is going to be out of balance because that side bar is way out. I'm going to pull back, and I'm going to completely relax my wrist and not torque the bow to bring the bubble into center. If I completely relax, the bubble's all the way to the right because the left hand weight is too heavy. And normally what guys do is they don't even care about that. They bring it back to center, and then they're constantly trying to keep it center while they're executing the shot. But in essence, what you want is you want to pull back the bow and immediately it's in the front, and you're never fighting left and right with the bow. So naturally it wants to go there. So I let down, grab my Allen key, and I work it in. If the bubble's to the right, your sidebar needs to come in. If your bubble's to the left, your sidebar needs to come out. You're constantly counterbalancing the weight from the right and the weight on the left until you can get it to the point that as the minute you pull, the second you pull back and get into your anchor position, you aren't even torquing the bow at all to get the bubble center. As you get in your anchor position and you start your shot process, it must immediately be in the center. So I'm going to loosen that, bring it in a bit, tighten it up, and give it another go. So I pull back again. Okay, by chance, I'm not even torquing the bow, and it's dead center, and I can slowly execute. No feedback whatsoever. That bubble is in the middle the whole time, and I may be making micro adjustments to get it perfectly center. If I'm completely honest, if you saw that bubble wanted to have a slight bias to the left-hand side, which means I can actually put that stab a little bit more out to the left again to bring that bubble to the center. But you guys, you want to shoot and shoot and shoot and pull and pull and pull to the point that you are completely consistent without torquing the bow when it comes to getting that bubble in the middle. And I think that's the superpower about having a sidebar that guys don't really understand or don't dive deep enough into. That sidebar allows you to get into your shot position and start your shot process a lot quicker because you're not focusing on the bubble getting to center first. Right, one thing I must just mention, guys, is this is now perfect world scenario. If you're on slopes or uneven ground, you're going to really have to watch your bubble because what happens is you tend to lean the bow into the slope. So if the slope's downwards to the left, you tend to put the bow in line with the horizon. So you still have to watch your bubble, but the fact that the bow is completely balanced is once you get it to the center, you're not fighting it all the time. When it comes to that front bar, like I say, the whole point of a stabilization and what guys tend to get wrong is they try to match the weight with the front bar to their side bar. And the whole point of a stabilizer is to create bias and get weight away from your hand. And if you make the weight central, so same weight in the front as to the back, and you try and balance out the bow, there's zero bias. All the weight is back at the hand in the center or center line of the bow. So what I really like to do is get most of the weight out front and just use that sidebar to counterbalance the weight on the right-hand side of the bow, and left-handed shooters obviously vice versa. Consistently, I can execute it where the bubble stays in the center once at full draw. I pull back, get into my anchor position, bubble never leaves. Never leaves. I can do this over and over and over. And when you guys are struggling with those super far shots, well, when I say super far, 50, 60, 70 yard shots, and you're missing left and right, but your height is perfect, this is most of the time the problem. You can't get that bubble to stay center, and so you're actually canting the bow, and it's causing you to shoot left and right. Get into anchor, bubble never leaves. Now when I talk, it moves. Bubble never leaves. Get into my anchor, start executing the shot, bubble stays dead center every time. And I must be honest, a lot of target panic that I struggled with in the beginning of my archery journey came from not being able to keep that bubble in the center, constantly fighting it by torquing your wrist, can't get it in the center, get fatigued, slap the shot. So sidebar, one, this video you should take away. The superpower of a sidebar is being able to stabilize that bubble in the center nice and quick. and consistently. And 2 is obviously setting them up correctly to maximize your performance, especially in the hunting situations. Anchor. Stays in the center the whole time. That one is obviously a bit to the right. When you're talking and that kind of stuff, it can throw you off a bit. But notice how that bubble never leaves the center. Sometimes guys can't even get that to happen while they're executing the shot, let alone hold it for the duration of holding the bow. And that is that. Thanks for watching, guys. I know I've been quiet for the last while. I've been building my business. We're going to be doing a video a week. And whether it's short videos or long videos, super cinematic or basic like this one, I just want to be providing value to my audience and archers all around the world. Appreciate you guys watching. Much love. Shoot straight. Peace.